In this explainer, we're diving into a fundamental shift in the global economy. For years, smart contracts were treated as these futuristic pilot projects, kind of like fun, experimental ideas buried deep in tech white papers. But here we are in 2026, and they aren't just theory anymore. They are the active, vital infrastructure powering finance, logistics, identity verification, and corporate automation, literally right now. So we're going to strip away all the hype and take a strictly pragmatic look at how this technology is actually being used today, what it replaces, and exactly where its limitations lie.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, what are smart contracts? Then 2, why they matter in 2026. Next up, 3, the real-world tour. 4, the core benefits. And finally, number 5, the reality check.
All right, section 1. What exactly are smart contracts?
To set a formal baseline, let's look at Investopedia's definition. They call it a self-executing program that automates the actions required in an agreement or transaction. Once completed, the transactions are trackable and irreversible. Now that sounds incredibly official, right? But for our purposes today, I promise we're going to break this down into much simpler terms to see what it actually means in practice.
Stripped down to its absolute simplest form, a smart contract is really just code and data deployed on a blockchain network. The absolute key word to remember here is deterministically. All that means is the exact same input produces the exact same output across the network, every single time. It doesn't get tired, it makes no subjective judgments, it just blindly executes the math.
And this creates a completely new paradigm when you compare it to traditional business rules. Usually we rely on humans, right? People following processes, sending invoices, updating databases, and manually reconciling between different companies. It's slow and, let's be honest, highly prone to error. Smart contracts replace that central human operator with code on a shared, tamper-proof ledger. The results are automatically consistent and fully auditable by everybody involved. Which brings us to section 2, why they matter so much in 2026.
So the crucial point is that we are essentially turning business rules into software. Think about what that unlocks. It allows for conditional payments, where funds just automatically move the second a deadline is met or delivery is confirmed. Zero manual reconciliation required. It enables programmable compliance, literally blocking invalid transfers at the code level. It makes the tokenization of real-world assets actually practical by automating the escrow. And finally, it creates entirely new product models, fundamentally slashing that massive, expensive workload of matching spreadsheets and data between different corporations. All right, section 3. Let's look under the hood with the real-world tour.
You're likely familiar with decentralized finance, or DeFi, where lending, borrowing, and swaps are driven entirely by code. Well, the key metric to watch here is TVL, or total value locked. We're not talking about small testnet funds anymore. We are talking about billions in immense real-world monetary value deposited directly into protocol smart contracts. These contracts independently hold the funds, enforce the collateral rules, and execute liquidations completely automatically. No bank back office required.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how far we've moved past mere experiments. Look at late 2025. UniCredit, a massive traditional financial institution, announced the issuance of tokenized structured bonds registered on a public blockchain. This is undeniable proof that capital markets are actually using smart contracts from mainstream financial infrastructure to automate coupon payments, corporate actions, and complex compliance logic. To really visualize this, think of this supply chain setup as a highly advanced digital vending machine. Traditionally, verifying delivery and authorizing payment takes weeks of back-and-forth emails. But here, step 1, a delivery arrives. Step 2, an oracle, which is basically the bridge feeding outside real-world data into the blockchain, verifies the shipping scan. And boom, step 3, the escrowed funds are instantly released. B2B milestones just automatically trigger settlements. And the momentum is incredible across other sectors too. Take parametric insurance. If an oracle detects that rainfall has dropped below a certain threshold, a payout is triggered instantly. No claims adjuster needed. In digital identity, the EU's Ebicide project is actively using W3C standards governed by smart contracts to allow cryptographic proof of credentials. Over in gaming, ERC 721 standards dictate true digital ownership of assets. And in the legal world, we're seeing this fascinating hybrid model where a traditional paper contract exists off-chain, but its payment terms are executed autonomously by code. Because let's face it, we aren't quite ready to replace all the lawyers with algorithms just yet.
Moving on to Section 4,
The core benefits. Now, this isn't simply about making existing processes slightly faster. As noted by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the real power lies in shared, verifiable records. Everyone is looking at the exact same unforgeable truth. Furthermore, as highlighted by the International Monetary Fund, smart contracts enable atomic transactions. That means the payment and the transfer of ownership happen simultaneously in one single operation. If one fails, the other fails. This completely eliminates the risk of one party defaulting after the other is paid. Combine that with the immutable audit trails praised by the World Economic Forum, and you've got an incredibly robust system.
But we must be absolutely pragmatic here. Section 5, the reality check.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive double-edged sword we're dealing with. The very features that make smart contracts so powerful create immense risks if you aren't careful. The code is immutable, which builds incredible trust, sure, but it makes bugs extremely hard to fix safely once they're deployed. They often run on public blockchains, ensuring transparency, but creating significant privacy and data exposure risks for sensitive corporate information. And they rely on external triggers, or oracles, meaning if your outside data source gets compromised, your flawless code is going to confidently execute a terrible mistake.
So security is literally not optional here. Unlike a traditional banking error, which can usually be reversed with an angry phone call, a security flaw in a smart contract can lead to an instant, irreversible drain of funds. Furthermore, the legal power of these contracts isn't absolute. While the code absolutely executes the terms, true legal certainty and dispute resolution still heavily rely on traditional off-chain legal wrappers. And finally, depending on the network you choose, cost, speed, and performance can vary wildly, requiring some pretty complex architectural planning. Which leaves us with a truly fascinating paradox to consider. Smart contracts have successfully transitioned from futuristic pilots to the backbone of modern financial and business infrastructure. They flawlessly and deterministically execute exactly what they are programmed to do. But they don't understand nuance, they don't understand intent, and they certainly don't understand fairness. So as we increasingly trust our automated systems to handle our most critical transactions, I'll leave you with this. If code can flawlessly execute our agreements, what exactly is the future role of the traditional legal contract? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep exploring how this incredible technology is reshaping our world.